Hi there and welcome to The History Teacher. This revision video covers Superpower Relations and the Cold War, 1941 to 1991, from the GCSE Edexcel 9-1 course. Hopefully you'll also find it useful if you're studying any of the other exam boards, or if, like me, you just love history. You can now become a member to support me to continue to make this content. You'll get exclusive access to worksheets, revision materials, and you'll get to vote on forthcoming episodes. Just click on the join button below this video. Hi there guys, last time we were looking at the use of the atomic bomb and the Long and Novikov telegrams and how they increased tensions between the two superpowers. While all of this had been happening, Stalin had been expanding his influence into Eastern Europe. Remember, Germany had invaded Russia twice in 30 years and suffered heavy losses in both world wars. Therefore, Stalin wanted to prevent future invasion, mainly from Germany, but from other European nations also. Stalin wanted to create a buffer zone which would prevent future invasion. You will remember that at Yalta, Stalin had promised to hold free and fair elections in the Eastern European nations the USSR occupied. Stalin thought these countries would all vote for a communist government, but when it became clear that this was not going to happen, the USSR began to use Salami tactics to take over these countries. This means that it dealt with each country one slice at a time, fixing the elections and then removing their opponents. The USA, and particularly Truman, saw this as a betrayal of the agreements made at Yalta. Others saw it as a stepping stone to European domination, and all saw it as a politically motivated expansion. The USSR's Red Army occupied 9 countries, and the Soviets sought to influence a further 2 in order to create the buffer zone. We're going to focus on 6 of them using the acronym PREACH. P is for Poland. You will know that Poland was occupied by the Nazis and was the location of some of the worst atrocities carried out by the Nazis. The USSR had promised the Polish support for the Warsaw Uprising, but the Soviets waited for the uprising to be put down and then moved in to occupy the country. At first, it seemed the Soviets would stand by their promises at Yalta, and the first government elected contained some of the London Poles, who you will remember were the exiled Polish politicians living in London. Then a second election was held in 1947. This time the London Poles were again forced to flee or face imprisonment, and the Communist Party formed the government. Next up is R for Romania. The Red Army had taken control of Romania in 1944 and used intimidation to influence the elections in 1945. This led to a communist-led coalition, but as in Poland, another election was held in 1947, and this time the communists returned with full control. Now, E for East Germany. We're going to be talking a lot about East Germany in the coming videos, but the main thing you need to know at this point is that the Soviet Union considered East Germany to be essential to its buffer zone, and it originally became a communist state in 1949. The A is for Albania. Albania is included to remind you that not all the countries in the buffer zone were occupied by the Red Army, and therefore were not satellite states. However, it was reliant on Soviet aid and had a communist government from 1944. C is for Czechoslovakia. Unlike the other satellite states, Czechoslovakia had been a democracy until the Nazis invaded in 1938. Immediately after the war, the Czechs, led by Baines, tried to re-establish their democracy. However, Stalin wanted Czechoslovakia as part of his buffer zone. So, in 1948, he supported a coup which overthrew the government and set up a communist government led by Klement Gottwald in his place. Finally, we have H for Hungary. Similar to Poland and Romania, the 1945 elections returned a coalition government, but unhappy with this outcome, another election was held in 1947. This time, voters and candidates were intimidated and a communist government was returned. By 1949, Hungary was a one-party state. A consequence of the establishment of the satellite states was to confirm the division between East and West. The satellite states acted as a buffer for the Soviet Union against attack from the West, but at the expense of those countries' freedoms. Truman saw this as evidence of the Soviet Union's plan to spread communism worldwide, and it increased tensions between the superpowers. In March 1946, Winston Churchill gave his Iron Curtain speech while on a visit to the United States. In the speech, he said, "An Iron Curtain has descended across the continent of Europe," by which he meant that a military and ideological barrier had been drawn across Europe. In Churchill's view, Soviet policies offered little chance chance for a successful establishment of peace in the years ahead. And he highlighted the importance of cooperation between the UK, USA, and Western European countries. Okay, that is everything you need to know about the USSR's expansion into the satellite states. Don't forget to check out my website for worksheets and revision guidance, and I will see you next time.